Have you ever found yourself wondering if you're truly feeling anything at all, or if you're just going through the motions of life without any real emotional depth? It's a haunting question, and one that can be difficult to confront, but it's essential to explore if we want to understand the psychological effects of emotional numbing and how it can secretly destroy our relationships and overall well-being. Consider this. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology found that nearly 50% of adults in the United States experience some level of emotional numbing, which can be defined as a disconnection from one's emotions, resulting in a lack of emotional responsiveness. This can be a result of various factors, including trauma, stress, or even societal pressure to conform to certain emotional norms. For instance, a study conducted by Dr. Breen Brown, a research professor at the University of Houston, discovered that people who struggle with emotional numbing often have difficulty forming and maintaining healthy relationships, as they tend to suppress their emotions rather than dealing with them in a constructive manner. The implications of emotional numbing are far-reaching and can have devastating effects on our personal and professional lives. According to a study published in the journal Psychological Science, emotional numbing can lead to a decrease in empathy, which is essential for building and maintaining strong, meaningful relationships. The study, led by Dr. Sarah Conrath, a researcher at the University of Michigan, found that people who experience emotional numbing tend to have lower levels of emotional intelligence, which can lead to conflict and misunderstandings in their relationships. Furthermore, emotional numbing can also have a negative impact on our physical health, as it can lead to increased stress levels, a weakened immune system, and even cardiovascular disease. A study conducted by Dr. Kristen Neff, a researcher at the University of Texas, found that people who practice self-compassion, which involves being kind and understanding towards oneself, tend to have lower levels of emotional numbing and are better equipped to deal with stress and adversity. This highlights the importance of developing emotional awareness and learning to navigate our emotions in a healthy and constructive way. As we delve deeper into the world of emotional numbing, it's essential to explore the underlying causes and consequences of this phenomenon and to examine the ways in which it can affect our relationships and overall well-being. Emotional numbing can be a coping mechanism that people use to deal with traumatic or stressful experiences. When we experience something traumatic, our brain can go into survival mode, and one way to protect ourselves is to numb our emotions. This can be a temporary solution, but if it becomes a long-term pattern, it can have serious consequences. For example, people who experience emotional numbing may have difficulty feeling emotions such as joy, love, or excitement, which can lead to a sense of disconnection from themselves and others. They may also have difficulty recognizing and responding to the emotional needs of others, which can lead to conflict and strained relationships. Additionally, emotional numbing can lead to a lack of motivation and purpose, as people may feel disconnected from their goals and aspirations. It's essential to recognize that emotional numbing is not just a personal issue, but also a societal one. We live in a culture that often values productivity and efficiency over emotional well-being, and this can perpetuate the idea that emotions are a weakness or a luxury we can't afford. The consequences of emotional numbing can be subtle, yet devastating. When we numb our emotions, we may feel like we're avoiding pain or discomfort, but in reality, we're also avoiding joy, love, and connection. We may feel like we're getting by just fine, but in reality, we're just going through the motions of life without any real sense of purpose or fulfillment. Emotional numbing can also lead to a sense of disconnection from our bodies and our physical needs. For example, people who experience emotional numbing may have difficulty recognizing and responding to physical sensations such as hunger, thirst, or fatigue. This can lead to a range of physical health problems, including digestive issues, sleep disorders, and chronic pain. Moreover, emotional numbing can also affect our creativity and inspiration, as emotions play a crucial role in the creative process. When we're disconnected from our emotions, we may struggle to find meaning and purpose in our work or hobbies, leading to a sense of stagnation and boredom. As we explore the psychological effects of emotional numbing, it's essential to examine the ways in which it can affect our relationships. When we're emotionally numb, we may struggle to form and maintain healthy relationships, as we tend to suppress our emotions rather than dealing with them in a constructive manner. This can lead to conflict and misunderstandings, as our partners or friends may feel like they're not getting through to us or that we're not responding to their emotional needs. Moreover, emotional numbing can also lead to a sense of isolation and disconnection, as we may feel like we're not truly connecting with others or that we're just going through the motions of social interaction. It's essential to recognize that emotional numbing is not just a personal issue, but also a relational one. When we're emotionally numb, we may struggle to respond to the emotional needs of others, leading to a sense of disconnection and isolation. The impact of emotional numbing on our overall well-being cannot be overstated. When we're emotionally numb, we may feel like we're avoiding pain or discomfort, but in reality, we're also avoiding joy, love, and connection. We may feel like we're getting by just fine, but in reality, we're just going through the motions of life without any real sense of purpose or fulfillment. Emotional numbing can lead to a range of negative consequences, including depression, anxiety, and even physical health problems. It's essential to recognize that emotional numbing is a treatable condition, and that there are many strategies and techniques that can help us overcome it. By developing emotional awareness and learning to navigate our emotions in a healthy and constructive way, we can break free from the cycle of emotional numbing and start living a more authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling life. As we continue to explore the psychological effects of emotional numbing, it's essential to examine the ways in which it can affect our daily lives. From our relationships and work performance to our physical and mental health, emotional numbing can have a profound impact on our overall well-being. By understanding the underlying causes and consequences of emotional numbing, we can start to develop strategies and techniques to overcome it. This may involve practicing self-compassion, engaging in creative activities, or seeking out social support from friends, family, or a therapist. Whatever the approach, it's essential to recognize that emotional numbing is not just a personal issue, but also a societal one. By working together to create a culture that values emotional awareness and well-being, we can start to break free from the cycle of emotional numbing and start living more authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling lives. The journey to overcoming emotional numbing is not always easy, but it's essential for our overall well-being. By developing emotional awareness and learning to navigate our emotions in a healthy and constructive way, we can start to break free from the cycle of emotional numbing and start living a more authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling life. This may involve exploring our emotions, developing self-compassion, and seeking out social support from friends, family, or a therapist. Whatever the approach, it's essential to recognize that emotional numbing is a treatable condition and that there is hope for overcoming it. As we continue to explore the psychological effects of emotional numbing, it's essential to examine the ways in which it can affect our relationships, our work performance, and our overall well-being. By understanding the underlying causes and consequences of emotional numbing, we can start to develop strategies and techniques to overcome it, and start living a more authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling life. And as we delve deeper into the world of emotional numbing, it becomes clear that the consequences of this phenomenon can be far-reaching and devastating, affecting not just our personal lives, but also our relationships and overall well-being. And it's here that we start to realize that the effects of emotional numbing can be. As we've discussed, emotional numbing can have a profound impact on our relationships and overall well-being. But what's even more alarming is how it can secretly destroy the very fabric of our connections with others. When we numb our emotions, we're not just avoiding the pain, we're also avoiding the joy, the love, and the intimacy that comes with being fully present in our relationships. This can lead to a sense of disconnection and isolation, even when we're surrounded by people who care about us. For example, imagine being in a romantic relationship where you're going through the motions, but you're not really feeling anything. You're not feeling the excitement, the passion, or the love that once brought you and your partner together. You're just existing, and that can be a really lonely and unfulfilling experience. According to a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, led by researcher Kristen Neff, people who practice self-compassion and allow themselves to feel their emotions, even the difficult ones, tend to have more fulfilling and meaningful relationships. This is because they're able to be more authentic, vulnerable, and present with their partners. On the other hand, when we numb our emotions, we're not just affecting our relationships, we're also affecting our physical and mental health. Chronic emotional numbing can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical symptoms like chronic pain and fatigue. A study conducted by researcher Karina Davidson found that people who suppress their emotions tend to have higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, in their bodies. This can lead to a range of negative health consequences, including weight gain, insomnia, and a weakened immune system. So, what can we do to break free from the cycle of emotional numbing and start feeling again? One practical step we can take is to practice mindfulness and self-compassion. This means being kind and gentle with ourselves, even when we're feeling difficult emotions. It means acknowledging our emotions, rather than trying to avoid or suppress them. For example, if you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, you could take a few deep breaths and remind yourself that it's okay to feel this way. You could say to yourself, "I'm feeling really anxious right now, and that's okay. I can handle this." Another step we can take is to engage in activities that bring us joy and help us feel alive. This could be anything from painting, to hiking, to cooking, or playing music. When we're doing something we love, we're more likely to feel fully present and engaged, and that can help us break free from the numbing effects of emotional suppression. For instance, if you've always loved playing the guitar, but haven't picked it up in years, why not dust it off and start playing again? You might be surprised at how it makes you feel. We can also practice emotional labeling, which means putting words to our emotions. When we label our emotions, we're able to process and understand them better, and that can help us feel more in control. For example, if you're feeling really angry or frustrated, you could say to yourself, "I'm feeling angry right now, and that's because I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed." By labeling your emotions, you're able to acknowledge and validate them, rather than trying to suppress or avoid them. Finally, we can seek out social support and connection. When we're feeling numb, it can be tempting to withdraw from others and isolate ourselves. But this can actually make things worse, as it can reinforce the numbing effects of emotional suppression. Instead, we can reach out to friends, family, or a therapist and talk to them about how we're feeling. This can help us feel heard, validated, and understood, and that can be a powerful antidote to emotional numbing. In real-life situations, this might look like calling a friend or family member and saying, "Hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed and stressed out right now, and I just need someone to talk to." Or it might look like joining a social club or group that aligns with your interests, so you can meet new people and feel a sense of connection and community. Whatever it is, the key is to take small steps towards connection and engagement, rather than retreating into isolation and numbing. It's also important to recognize that emotional numbing can be a coping mechanism for trauma or past experiences. If you're struggling with emotional numbing, it may be helpful to seek out professional help from a therapist or counselor. They can help you work through your emotions and develop healthy coping strategies. In addition to these steps, it's also important to practice self-care and prioritize your physical and emotional well-being. This might look like getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, and eating a healthy diet. It might also look like taking time for yourself, engaging in activities that bring you joy, and practicing mindfulness and meditation. As we work to break free from the cycle of emotional numbing, it's also important to be patient and compassionate with ourselves. It's not always easy to feel our emotions, especially if we've been numbing them for a long time. But with time, effort, and practice, we can learn to feel again, and that can be a truly liberating experience. In conclusion, emotional numbing can have a profound impact on our relationships and overall well-being. But by practicing mindfulness, self-compassion, and emotional labeling, and by seeking out social support and connection, we can break free from the cycle of numbing and start feeling again. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. If this helped you see yourself differently, subscribe. I post new psychology insights every single day. And if you want to go even deeper, check the link in the description for the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. It changed how millions of people think and act.